All right, we have to have a conversation about these pastors that were supposedly briefed by people in the military that had these high clearances about the UFO phenomenon and what's to come, basically. And I have some concerns. I'm getting conflicting information, and we need to talk about it. So you're going to hear some background noise. I am finishing work right now, but this can't wait. So I need to record it right now in bits and pieces. I might hit the pause button here and there. So yeah, let's talk about it now. Oh boy, we've all heard this now for the past few days. A lot of Christians are talking about it. I have problems, as usual, with how Christians are talking about this. I strongly, firmly am convinced that we don't know how to talk about this. I'm talking about the Christians at large. But I'll save a lot of those complaints for another time. It's just, it needs to be said again that we need to have these discussions. This is a very important topic. There is potential deception on the horizon. I've been talking about that for a long time. It probably doesn't come as a surprise to most people who are Christians, but so what I've been seeing now are different variations of this story. Different people have come forward and said, oh yeah, I'm part of that, or I was part of that meeting. You know, I first heard about this through Perry Stone. Saw some videos online about him talking about it. I didn't watch the entire thing, but saw a lot of clipped out portions of it and people commenting about it and stuff like that. And I'm thinking, Perry Stone, I used to listen to that guy just a little bit about 20 some years ago. I think he's been on TBN. I think I heard some bad stuff about him, you know, whatever. I'm not here to talk about that, but I wasn't too happy that he was the one breaking this. But then I find out that there's more other people talking about it, so I'm learning more and more. And in one instance, in a comment on Facebook, this guy is replying to me about something I said. And then he tags this one guy who I didn't find out. I'm like mutual friends with like 3 other people. Because I was questioning some of this information that was coming forward. Let me just get to that post actually. All right, so I'm commenting underneath End Time Headlines post on Facebook. I'm like, oh, how come he's the only guy talking about it then? Ain't nobody gonna bring that up? I might be misremembering, but I'm pretty sure Perry Stone's the teacher not to trust or follow. Anyway, this Slavic guy, he says, he tags Jamie Walden. I'm not familiar with the name. Has been talking about this for a while. He was in the same meeting too. So then I had some questions. Well, okay, hold on. I don't think this is in order here, but I would appreciate as much information as possible. I think it's skipping out one of my comments, but I said something like, oh, so a while. Well, I need more information. How long ago has this happened? Because this news is just breaking the past couple of days. So we're talking about like a while back, weeks. What are we talking about? And I think I just heard a report that's like earlier this year. Like, oh, what does that mean? So I don't know. Information on that, but why is this information so broken up? It shouldn't be that broken up. We should have like firm information about this. So anyway, talking about I would appreciate more information. I think it's not showing all my comments. That's weird. But anyway, let me just go to Jamie Walden's Facebook page. So somewhere else said that like it was influential pastors, and this is like a game of telephone. There's like different information depending on where we go, but influential pastors, whatever. Hold on. So you can see here I have 3 mutual friends, and yeah, I don't know anything about this guy, but I go to the other guy who has been talking to this Slavic guy. He's got a couple of friends here, mutual friends. And I go down just a little bit. Wow, Jamie Walden, Perry Stone Ministries, blah, blah, blah. He shares a post there. In the comments, Jamie Walden. He was not in the meeting personally, but must be in contact with one of us that was. There were only 3 pastors there, myself and 2 others. Very important. So now I'm trying to get more information about that. So just remember that. Only 3 pastors, according to this Jamie Walden guy. But yeah, when somewhere it said influential pastors, and I'm like, okay, I never heard of this Jamie Walden guy. I don't know who the other 2 were. Are we trying to be super secretive on this? Then I find out a couple more names online. But there's other reports saying a large number of pastors were there. I'm confused, and the confusion doesn't end there. So either some of these people are lying. You can see my comment there. I'll let you read it if you want. Or there were multiple meetings, possibly. Shoot, where? Oh man, there was I posted a picture too of Eric Burleson. I'll get to that in a little bit. But suffice to say, I'm hearing different things. Now, let's go to a YouTube video. All right, I'm not going to make this a super deep dive. There are other things I can bring up, like the comment to that Jamie Walden dude. But just listen to this. Now, this is from Vetted, I think from yesterday. And yeah, just listen to this part. It does start off showing a statement from Eric Burleson. I'll maybe read that later. But just listen up.
The whole thing, essentially, right? Not that the phone call didn't happen, but what was said during the phone call. And
So the thing is that Eric Burleson also called in to this meeting. And that's what I was asking this Jamie Walden person, like, oh, just to confirm, maybe this can help me figure out if there was more than 3 people, or excuse me, more meetings than just the one. Did Eric Burleson contact you guys in this meeting? But listen to this.
Pastor who had gone viral initially about the meeting has walked back some of his comments.
And by the way, I've never heard of this guy either. So, and this is like after I found out that it wasn't Perry Stone, but there's more people coming forward talking about this meeting.
Essentially, and the meat and bone of it, to be honest with you. So, you remember this clip?
Only a handful of pastors are invited to come to a private meeting with a group of men who are connected with the intelligence world that are believers, but are still have very high security clearance. These are legit, true men of God that are still connected to Washington and even this current administration and all branches of military. And they literally told us, we had a sitting congressman, a very well-known congressman from Missouri. He called into that meeting as well. That was just for pastors. And this is what he said. On speakerphone, this sitting powerful member of Congress said, "Are the pastors listening to me?" I'm getting chills right now because this happened to me. He said, "Are the pastors in the room listening to me?" And I said, "Yes, sir, we are here." And he said, "Listen to me. Go and tell the church they are not ready for what is coming."
Now, did you hear that? I'm going to play it again. Who is the one who he is saying that's talking right now?
It's happened to me. He said, "Are the pastors in the room listening to me?" And I said, "Yes, sir, we are here." And he said, "Listen to me. Go and tell the church they are not ready for what is coming. The narrative that is coming, what they are going to say is going to be like nothing you can even imagine. They are preparing to tell us that they are from another dimension, that they are our creator, and that these beings, these aliens, or whatever you want to call them, they were the ones that seeded us here. There is no such thing as God. Jesus was invented by them. The Bible was invented by them." And begin to just say, listen, prepare the people for what is coming because they're not ready.
Yeah, so that was the viral video, right, that everyone was talking about. And there's many more. Other pastors had come out. Well, now that same pastor has released this video.
We're twins. She has astigmatism and presbyopia. You tell us.
Other pastors had come out. Well, now that same pastor has released this video.
I want to address this video that's going around of me in regards to the meeting of pastors that gathered to discuss the upcoming so-called UFO disclosure. And in this video, I stated that a congressman from Missouri had called in to speak to the pastors. And of course, it's being revealed now that that is Congressman Eric Burleson. And he did call in, but he called in to encourage us and to thank us pastors for the work that we're doing, and that we are, speaking the truth to our people and pointing them to Jesus and not get distracted of things in the world. In that moment, I began to state things that I have always said. That is my opinion, and my opinion is, and that's exactly all it is my opinion, that when this disclosure comes out, that it will be spun, that it is, that the aliens have always been here, that they seeded us, that they created the first religion, and all of that. I should have stopped and paused and said, and this part is my opinion, and the heat of that I didn't. I led with saying that they had called the pastors, and I went straight into my opinion. So I want to make it very clear that Eric Burleson did not say those words. Those were my words. And I want to own it, and I want to apologize directly to Congressman Eric Burleson for any problems that this has caused you, any confusion, and to any of the viewers that have seen this video clip. So I wanted to state the facts and make it very, very clear.
So essentially the bread and butter.
So you can see that he's talking about now it's his opinion. He clearly said in the first part that it was Eric Burleson who was saying that. Okay, now Patrick doesn't even pick up on this. If you listen to the rest, I'm not going to do that because I want to get to another thing that is making it even more confusing. So let's go to another video I just started watching. All right, so this is CBN News, and this was 7 hours ago today. So just listen to this man's story, and I'll add my commentary.
Earlier this year, and a number of pastors were brought together, and you were one of the people who were in this meeting. Now,
Oop, hit the wrong pause button. So I just want to mention again that there's way more than 3 pastors. All the people, Perry Stone and others who are talking about this, you can't get 3 people from all these different descriptors, like large number and pastors, and some people even mentioned a couple different names and more people think this guy does that. But just listen to his story. Remember what we just talked about before.
before we get into anything else, how did you find out about the meeting and how were you invited?
Well, a number of us, Billy, first of all, great to be with you. Love your show. A number of us are podcasters, and I do a daily live broadcast. And a lot of these individuals have been watching me and a number of my friends. And so they invited us and a number of pastors to, I'll just say it this way, kind of a secret location in Tennessee. And it was really just a rental house that they brought a bunch of people to and began to give disclosure to what was happening. So they reached out because of our platforms, and they wanted to get the word out. They said they felt like we were legit, other people were legit in the circle, and they wanted to connect with us. And they'd watched us for some time and felt like we were coming to the right conclusions on many of these issues. And so they brought us in, and I'll tell you, at first, a lot of the things they disclosed to us were things we'd already heard or come to the same conclusions on. But they really did reveal some things that I thought, this is important. This needs to be said to churches and pastors and leaders, not because it's so earth-shattering for people that know the Lord, that know where they are in Jesus, but for the average believer that's not really sure. They're not grounded in the Bible the way they should be. What they're talking about, I think, really could be earth-shattering for a lot of people.
This is a brand.
What they're talking about, I think, really could be earth-shattering for a lot of people. I really do, Billy.
So I want to get into some of the specifics of that. Just to clarify, the people who called the meeting, who were they? How high up? Was it a government meeting? Were there government officials there? Talk a little bit about that, because that was one of the big questions, like who called this meeting and who,
right.
You don't have to give names, but who were these people essentially?
Well, they were special forces operators, and they were moving in higher levels in the military. They were moving in higher levels in some of these arenas, and they had very high level clearance. They worked in different parts of military, and they were also involved in wars, different things. And so they had a lot of data that they could bring, and they were very close to a number of the key individuals that report directly to the highest office. And they would advise, they would get data and information, and they themselves had a lot of firsthand encounters with entities and beings. And so even to the point, and I don't mind saying this, but even to the point that they were showing us on their phones things that they had personally photographed. And these guys, when they were talking to us, they were not looking for anything. They weren't trying to gain anything from this. They were actually very emotional and very concerned for the state of the church, very concerned for where things are going, because the ultimate thing they're pushing, Billy, is an agenda of enlightenment. This is what they're trying to get ahead of, is that many people in these spheres are saying the Christians are going to be in the way of this enlightenment by these beings that want to come down, these benevolent beings that are going to appear, whether they're orbs, UFOs, different types of manifestations, however they appear, they're going to come and bring enlightenment. And the narrative is going to be, and this is from their data, what they were disclosing to us. The narrative is going to be, well, the Bible is good, it's true, it's close, but we have the final answer. You were seated here by beings. God is not the God you think. It is something much greater from the universe and interdimensional. And they went down this road, and I started to realize this is not something new to us, but then they began to lay out the data for it and show us where it was going. So not only did we see with our eyes images, which, how many images can you trust today? But it was on their phone. They showed it to us of entities they'd encountered, their stories, and then people that are directly involved in this and what their agenda really is. And the agenda is ultimately to get us to a state of enlightenment, to push Christianity to the side and say there's a greater knowledge that we need to get humanity to. That's the real agenda.
Okay, I have a lot of questions, and I have to start with that. Okay.
All right, I'm going to stop there. Now, I haven't listened further than this, so I'm not sure what else they say. I'm sure it's juicy, but did you catch that? So it's these people who brought them in that are sharing this stuff. It wasn't Eric Burleson who said that, and then it wasn't the other the other pastor I shared before, who was his opinion. It's these people who brought them in. So whose opinion, or where does this information come from? Why do we have multiple versions of the story? Quite clearly, the first time the guy was talking as if it was Eric Burleson who said that. And then the second round, he says that it was him and his opinion. And this guy, a different person, is saying something entirely different. And then that Jamie Wadden guy said there's only 3 people there. So there's all these conflicting stories, and that's not it. I mean, that's kind of the meat of it, but I mean, what's going on here? Something stinks, something doesn't add up. And why are we just being told about this now, apparently? I mean, if this happened, like, nobody gave a date yet, as far as I know. But it sounded like, from some of these reports, that happened like months ago, possibly. So, I don't know. Why are we just being told about this now? Alright, I think I'm just going to go ahead and upload this video, and we'll talk about this statement in maybe a part 2. But I really am in a time crunch right now, and I gotta go.